Hey y'all, it is Gunnar Deatherage and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I am a fashion designer turned content creator and I'm really excited about what we are creating today. Everyone is talking about the Hunger Games and the new Hunger Games has got the most incredible dress in it, and the minute that I saw it I knew that I had to make my own version of it. Now this video is not sponsored, although I was part of the Hunger Games campaign on my TikTok and on my Instagram, and it was such a cool experience, you guys. Let's talk about the rainbow dress. What is it? So it's, I'm sure, going to be super iconic. People are going to love this dress because it's beautiful. It's got a like folk edge to it. It's got this like beautiful painting on the top. There's actually like primrose and Katniss flowers painted onto the bodice to kind of reference Katniss Everdeen and the later movies. There's this like really cute little white sleeves, and if you notice there's even these like really fun details of like different color threads up on the cuff of the dress. And then you make your way down to the skirt, which is like the showstopper of the entire dress. The skirt is on a Swiss dot, so it's kind of like a slight polka dot, and then there's a layer of gold underneath of it for just like a little bit of shine and iridescence to pop through. And they have created this beautiful zigzag kind of like checkerboard pattern with different layers of tulle, and it fades down from this like beautiful like lavender into a pink, down into like a yellow and a soft coral, burnt orange into a red, and then it's just like the most beautiful dusty rainbow color palette. I have a little audio clip of Trish talking about the actual dress for inspiration because I wanted to dive into this project and make sure that I knew everything that I could about the dress.
When I'm first reading rainbow ruffle dress, it kind of spins in my head a lot of what could that be. I wanted to again tie into the Hunger Games, the Catching Fire film that I did, and have some relation between Katniss and Lucy.
My version of this dress is not going to be a full recreation because anybody can recreate a dress, but I want to make my own version. So I'm gonna kind of treat it like what Lucy Greybeard would wear on a victory tour if she won the Hunger Games. I'm not giving away any spoilers here. So for my gown, I want to kind of expand on the idea of these colors kind of floating. And so I'm gonna use this nude tulle netting, and I'm gonna have multiple layers of this rainbow. Every single color is going to be suspended from the nude mesh. Kind of wanted it to feel a little bit like the naked dress trend, so like it was just kind of all floating effortlessly on a body. There's also a chance that this dress could be on the red carpet, which would be so cool to have it seen by that many people. My partner Chris and I were in Europe when the Hunger Games reached out, and so I was like really excited about the opportunity of this potentially happening. So we booked our tickets home. We took a flight from London to LAX, and we Ubered straight from LAX to the fabric store and did fabric shopping right after an 11.5-hour flight. Okay, I can't believe I'm here. It is time to choose some tulle fabric. This dress is like almost entirely tulle netting, and the colors of this is so specific, and I want to make sure that we nail that. So I'm gonna choose some correct color tulle fabrics. So tulle netting is something that like I love to work with, but like it has to kind of be this soft tulle because it has a drape and a hang to it that I love. And I went to Moon Fabrics because they just have the best selection of color. I figured I should just go to the place where I know is gonna have the best color options, especially because I only had an hour and a half to shop for fabric until the fabric store is closed. Once I got back into the studio, I laid out all the fabrics, and I'm really excited about the color choices that we made. And then I hopped into the patterning on the skirt, which is going to be tricky because every single layer needs to be a different length, and they're all going to show a different color, and I needed to make sure that everything was going to lay correctly. I think I underestimated the amount of time it was going to take to cut out every single layer. It was almost a full 8 to 10 hour day of just cutting them out. So I have got 25 yards of fabric here. Every layer is kind of pinned on the dress form to the length that I want them to be. And now I have to French seam all of this together, which is going to take way too long. But it's going to make it a really strong seam, and because of the amount of weight I'm putting on this skirt with other tulle layers, I need to reinforce it. So this is all 6 layers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all the way down. It's probably too long, it's probably going to be too full, but I bet it will be beautiful. So I finally got to sit down and start the sewing process, and I was very optimistic, and then my sewing machine decided to do this. I just ruined it. Really bummed. I'm like supposed to be French seaming this. It's supposed to be done right now. You guys, it ate the tulle, chewed it up, ruined it. And now I'm like, is it gonna do this the whole dress? This entire dress is tulle. Like, what's gonna happen as I'm starting to sew this entire dress together? So I took a quick breather, and then I did a few sewing tests, and I finally got the machine to cooperate. Okay, I managed to get my French seams in. I had to do this interesting trick. Instead of back stitching in the beginning, I actually just started stitching a little further down and then went back and then forward, which is a tip that I learned in a tailoring video. But I did get my first layer done, and I think this is gonna be really pretty when there's like layers of ruffle on it. This I think is a little long for the first layer. I might wanna like cut it a little, but like 4 right now, 1 of 6 is done. I'm gonna cut the first layer of purple at 1/2 inch, and then I'm hopefully gonna try to use a gathering foot to make the ruffles on the machine rather than hand doing it. It's working. If you are a member of my Patreon or YouTube memberships, that means you have already seen this video. But if you are not and you are considering joining, know that you being a member or being a part of my community helps make these kind of videos possible. We're able to like make incredible things, give dresses away to people in need. If you're learning how to sew, it's also a great place to be because we give away a sewing pattern every single month, and you get to vote and help make those sewing patterns possible and choose what we put out. If you are interested in joining my YouTube memberships, you can click join, or my Patreon link is in the description of this video. So, special delivery in the middle of sewing. I found a mannequin that I want to display this on because they asked me to display it. I don't want to put it on a dress form because I think it feels a little like too artsy and informal, but this is a head. And I think it feels very Hunger Games, but the whole body is not this. I mean, does this not feel so Hunger Games to you? She's small. She's short. After the little mannequin break, it was time to start getting into sewing the ruffles on. One thing I did not anticipate was the fact that the ruffles were going to twist once I sewed them. I did use a ruffling foot on my sewing machine. I was like, oh, this is gonna be so easy. But it twisted it after it sewed it. And so every time I'm sewing it onto the tulle netting, I'm having to untwist it and unravel it. And like 1 layer took me like an hour and a half. And then I was like, oh my God, I have like 40 of these to do. Like, and they get bigger and bigger as the skirt goes down. Like, is this gonna be possible? Like, did I bite off more than I could chew? Good morning. I am about to start assembling the skirt, doing a little spin test. That purple layer took forever. So I was so excited to be able to move on to the next color, which was this soft pink. So I did the ruffling foot. I cut them a little bit wider, about 1.5 inches, and then I sewed those on, and it definitely went by a little bit faster. I felt like every layer that I cut got me just a little bit closer to the finish line, and this was definitely a project where it felt like I was inching towards it rather than racing towards it. I'm tired. It was an early morning, a late night. One more day, like as in today. The ruffles are going to get a little bigger as you go down, but I'm decided to only do 3 layers of each color because 1, I don't have enough fabric and I definitely don't have enough time. So I figured that that would give a good dose of the color while still kind of allowing me to have the time to finish the dress. Okay, so I'm finally moving on to the bigger layers, and as I'm gathering them, they are not twisting, which means they're going to be easier to sew onto the dress. I have to make some actual magic happen the rest of the day. I have Nora, my assistant, come in to help me, and I am just like crossing my fingers that we can like make the rest of the dress go a little bit faster, but we did a little playing around back here, and I think we found a really cool applique for the top of the dress, which is really cool. So I'm gonna get back to watching the Hunger Games and working on this last layer, and then I can move on to the next color. I needed something that was effective to support the applique, but also quick to produce, so I started pleating the tulle into a deep V shape and ironing the folds into place. The steam from the iron helps the tulle keep the shape that I've pinned onto the dress form. When we were in the fabric store, we did not find an applique that we loved. Like, I went back and forth, but like the colors felt wrong, or the style felt wrong, or it was $500 for a yard of fabric when I just need like 4 or 5 flowers. So I was like, I'm not gonna do that. But I did remember that I had a dress that I made early on in the pandemic that I loved the fabric for and really hated the dress. And so I dug it out of a bin and I laid it out, and it was perfect. It was exactly what I had in my mind, and so I thought it was time to sacrifice it for the greater good of the project, and I cut it up. and I used the lace as an applique. I actually got to use a tool that I was really stoked on. It's a soldering iron, and I got one for my birthday last year, and I've been holding off on using it on tool because I don't know, I didn't have a project where it fit. And so I got to use the soldering gun and like melt away the edges of the tool, and it left it so clean and so sharp, and like didn't hurt my wrist from using scissors. So it's definitely a tip that I would do again. When I was sewing the appliques on, I was like so proud of the way it was coming out. It looks like it was made for this. I was really surprising myself even because I didn't expect for this to look so clean. It looks like the appliques were actually just embroidered onto the fabric itself. And so I was feeling very proud of what I was able to accomplish with the appliques. You know, I was supposed to do this dress while we were in Germany, and we were gonna make the whole thing happen, and then it just kept getting pushed and we didn't know if it was gonna happen, so I ended up coming home early from the trip. But like, this dress was supposed to happen while we were in Munich, Germany. And I had all these amazing people reach out to me, and they were like, hey, you can use my studio, here are fabric stores. So it's like, I absolutely know where to go fabric shopping if you're in Munich now. And I now know how incredibly supportive their creative community is, because wow, everyone was so kind and so nice. At this point, I have 3 of the layers totally finished, which means that it is time to give the skirt a spin test. And this is a part that I always look forward to. To update, we have all but one last layer to go. Nora, my incredible assistant, is sewing on the orange layer, and then I am working on this burgundy layer right there. And we managed to finish both layers of the skirt. I am finished for the night. I'm back in the house. I just pinned everything on the dress form, and maybe it's because I'm tired, but I hate it. I feel like a lot of people probably have this process, but I don't know, I'm always just afraid things look like homemade or like cheap or amateur. Not that there's anything wrong with being those, but like I've just like fought for a long time for my things to look like as polished as possible, and I don't know. I think it's just like maybe I need like a fresh eye tomorrow, but as of right now, I'm bummed. So today is the day of the event, and the only option is to keep pushing forward. So I attached all of the layers of the skirt together, and then I took another look at it, and I was thinking maybe I was just overthinking it last night because I actually don't dislike it today. Okay, so I kind of got the bummer news that the dress is not going to be on the carpet. The stylists have already chosen the looks for their people, which is obviously fine. I didn't really expect it to be worn by one of the people. I was actually gonna put it on a mannequin, and they just couldn't make it happen with timing. And so I was like, feeling like both bummed and a little relieved because I still had some hand sewing to do on the dress, but I was really looking forward to seeing it on the carpet and, you know, letting it have its moment in front of a lot of people. The last thing that I had to do to finish the dress was sew the bodice to the skirt, and then I had to quickly get ready and head over to my very first Hollywood premiere, which was exciting even though the dress wasn't coming with me. So we finally made it to the premiere, and I got to walk the red carpet, and I actually got to wear something that I had made myself, which was really exciting, and my partner Chris came with me, which made me feel a little bit more at ease since this was our very first Hollywood premiere. One of the coolest things was that the actual garments from the film were there, and I got full FaceTime with them. I got to see this dress after staring at it for days, and I was really excited that my color choices felt so spot on. I also got a chance to study some of the other costumes from the films, like Jennifer Lawrence's reaping dress and this amazing Effie trinket costume. Then it was time to actually screen the movie, and we did get to see all of the actors and the director and producer before the film, and they did a quick questionnaire as well. It was an amazing after party with like more food and more wine than you can imagine. It felt a lot like being in the Capitol, which I think is like fitting and kind of scary and funny at the same time. And then I got to see the costume designer, and I was feeling a little too shy to actually talk to the costume designer. There was a lot of people around, like Viola Davis is chilling off in her little section, like all these like really important people, and I just like felt too nervous to say hello, but we did get to see her, and standing next to her creation, she was wearing like the most beautiful red ensemble. It was such a cool experience. Okay, I have made you wait long enough to see this dress, and one of the perks of not taking it to the premiere is that I actually just got to keep it on the dress form, which I think is really good for showing you the delicateness of the top, and I got to build out a little set in my studio. So without any further ado, here is the dress, and make sure that you stick around after the reveal because I have a fun little surprise for you. Seeing the dress fully displayed, I'm kind of laughing at myself now that I had doubts because this is exactly what I had in my mind, and also I think it's time for that surprise, I promise. I did post the short video on my YouTube and on my TikTok and on my Instagram, and it went kind of viral, and Trish Somerville commented on the dress, which is so exciting. She said she loved it, she appreciated my expert sewing skills, and also Rachel Zegler, Lucy Gray Barrett herself, commented on the video and then shared it on her profile, and I nerded out because I was so excited. It's the most validating experience to like have like the girl that wears it and the woman who designed it both commenting on it, saying that they love my recreation or my version of it. It was a very cool experience and I'm feeling very thankful. I hope you guys loved watching this dress come together as much as I loved making it. And until next time, bye guys.